Recently, I read the novel The Wedding People by Alison Espach. For those of you unfamiliar, it is a quiet, contemplative novel centered around a woman named Phoebe, who goes to a destination hotel in the aftermath of her divorce with the sole intention of killing herself. This noble pursuit is interrupted when she realizes every other guest in the hotel is there for some bratty rich girl's wedding. My reading of this novel came at an interesting point in terms of my reading diet. I mean, for the past couple months, it's been, I'm not gonna lie, some pretty dark books. Probably the lightest book in terms of content that I read recently was Tom's Crossing, and this is a 1,200-page rumination on death. I mean, I also read the Disco Elysium book, e-reader, because you can't, I have it on my fucking e-reader. The Disco Elysium book, Sacred and Terrible Air, it kind of reads like if someone blended the Virgin Suicides with a bunch of genre fiction and then just liberally sprinkled in a bunch of pederasts just to spice things up. There was also the Cormac McCarthy book, Cities of the Plain, which sent me into a tailspin, as well as Maya Angelou's beautiful, haunting memoir, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. It has been a heavy rotation of reading recently, which is by design. I think I'm looking to all these heavy, dark works to try to understand the increasingly heavy and dark world and country that I live in. In this context, I read The Wedding People, and in all honesty, I'd been looking forward to it. You know, I was recommended it by a coworker. I'd been reliably informed that it was pretty funny, but still tackled some pretty hefty topics, and I just needed a break, you know? I was looking forward to some nice, light reading that would give me a break from all of this. You know what I mean? I didn't get my break. I did not like The Wedding People. I disliked it, in fact, to such an extent that I wrote a whole review, right, about the main flaw that I saw in the book, which kind of boils down to this. Essentially, the book is an ode to conversations. The book is in support of talking to people, especially strangers, and how talking to strangers and talking to other people can open you up, heal you, and get you to reconnect with the world again. And that's fine enough. I think that is a good aim for a book. I think that's a theme that's interesting enough to explore. But the problem is that these conversations are awful. The conversational writing in The Wedding People is really, really bad. The writing of conversations is boring, it is unbelievable, and because of a lack of tension or action in the rest of the novel, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. It is the main reason that the novel fails. So I wrote this review, all 2,000 words of it, right? And yet I could not quite bring myself to record the video. Something about hating on popular literature right now kind of feels like rote in a way. You know, it's a kind of discourse that I'm really not eager to engage in at this point in time. I will make hate videos eventually. There will be a reckoning for Jack Kerouac, but this just didn't feel like it, you know? And it wasn't it despite the fact that I do view the novel as being pretty poor. It wasn't it despite the fact that I increasingly find myself despairing over what content people are choosing to really engage with and label as peak fiction. I'm sure part of this despair and part of my dislike of The Wedding People is rooted in the despair I have that rich, powerful people have decided that this is the world that is okay to build, right? I'm sure that's part of it. I mean, the bride in The Wedding People, who Phoebe finds and interacts with that really sets off the course of the novel, she's a bratty little rich girl, right? And she's despairing over the fact that if Phoebe kills herself, she won't have her perfect wedding. And I mean, like, come on, right? Kim, there's people that are dying. What now? The bleak books didn't help, and the lighter book didn't really help either, so what should I do? You know what? I should stop. I should stop reading. I should stop consuming any type of media. I should go outside. I should go outside and I should run my hands through the waist-high fields of wheat. I should sunbathe. I should meditate under a waterfall. That kind of mindfulness, that type of peace, I think that's the kind of thing that would really go a long way in helping me right now. Instead, I watch True Detective. That's right, you fools, you morons, you utter peons, working hard, breaking your backs in the same wheat fields to harvest my wheat. You thought I would only talk about books here, but as you can see, you were mistaken. This is my corner of the world, and what I say go. I don't really feel qualified to talk about TV on a deeper level, you know. There's just so many moving parts that go into it. So many people are responsible for making a TV show happen at all, let alone for making a TV show come out and have it be actually entertaining and well made. Truth be told, I also don't watch a lot of TV. I'm kind of more of a movie guy. I like TV well enough, but if you were to ask me to sort of sink my already limited time on this earth, 5 or 6 seasons worth of time into a product, and the end result is going to be, that's probably kind of mid, then 99 times out of 100, I'm just going to say, no thank you man, I'm good. But I'd never seen True Detective before, and by True Detective, just so we're clear, I only mean season 1, since that seems to be the only season that people consider worth talking about. For reference, here are some of my favorite TV shows of all time, so you know where I'm kind of coming from with this. So, what did I think of True Detective? It's good, it's entertaining. True Detective fascinated me, less for its excess philosophizing and more for the way in which its characters and its themes slowly reveal themselves to the audience. The reveal of the killer in episode 7, the tiny mirror in Cole's apartment into which he stares every single morning, the motives of the interviewing detectives unspiraling as you watch. Now, what was most fascinating to me, though, after this initial watch, was the way in which Detective Hart reveals himself to the audience. I'm not exactly sure why that is. It could be something as simple as the performance, or it could have to do, I think, with the strange meta sort of way in which the character of Hart echoes the TV show that he is in. Hart to me feels like the protagonist of the show. Maybe people have observed this before, I don't know. Cole is by far the showier of the two performances and has since become a focal point of analysis, but Hart interested me more, probably due to the way that he views and interacts with women. Complicated relationship with women is, after all, my absolute favorite turn of phrase, and it is one that comes up often in my interactions with my therapist. Hart's retrograde interactions with women are especially fascinating to me, given the context of the case that Cole and Hart are pursuing. In 2012, after everything's gone down and the two are on bad terms, they reconnect, and Hart initially wants no part of Cole's machinations. This, however, changes immediately upon his viewing of the abhorrent videotape that Tuttle had in his possession. His need, his drive to be this kind of protector, this guiding angel to women, it leads him to pursue the case even further, despite the fact that he is absolutely not either of those two things. It is this need to be a protector that drives Hart to fuck up the case in the first place, when he blows Reggie Ledoux's head smooth off. A big point of order when it comes to True Detective is whether or not the show is misogynist. I am not going to make that argument either way right now, having only seen it once, but it is fascinating to me that Detective Hart, who is clearly positioned as the show's avatar of normalcy, it is fascinating to me how he interacts with women in the context of the show. Why does he inspire an underage prostitute to try and free herself from that life? Well, it's because he's a good guy. Why then, though? Why then does he fuck her 7 years later, when full knowledge of her history is available to him and he understands that she is dealing with a lot of trauma? Why does he do that? It's because he can't help himself. That's why. Until he sees himself for who he is, wholly and honestly, he is powerless in the face of his own nature. That, to me, is the most interesting thing that True Detective has to say. So, I guess the question now becomes, did watching the show help me at all? The Wedding People was bad, but not so bad that it really changed anything, And True Detective was good, but I don't feel comfortable calling it the unqualified masterpiece that so many people very clearly see it as. So I've spent time with good art and with bad art recently, and frankly, it's kind of bumming me out. I think all artists, once and for all, we got to get over their bullshit, send them off to the gulag like the degenerate thought criminals they are, and that goes for novelists too. I'm tired of thinking, thank you very much. There's all these images swirling around in my head, like from The Wedding People, there's the image of Phoebe, this destroyed woman in a beautiful dress who makes her way into this hotel, this destination hotel, to kill herself. I mean, that is an incredible image, but it's undercut by the work surrounding it. And then, on the other hand, we have True Detective, the image of Cole, his tall, thin silhouette slowly making his way through Carcosa as Hart barrels in after him. That's an incredible image, but it's also one that I kind of feel conflicted about liking, because the darkness is always cooler when you're watching it on TV. I love intense, difficult works of art, okay? I love work that challenges the world, work that challenges my perception of the world. Ultimately, there's nothing... Is there some fucking critter skittering around back here? Ultimately, I think that's why I'm so passionate about the written word, because there's nothing with the potential to be so immediate, so uncompromising, and so visceral as one person just sitting down and putting their thoughts onto the page. One thing I asked myself after writing all of this nonsense was, what's the point? Okay, why bother with all this? Why link together these two pieces of media that are so far apart on the spectrum of art that they might as well not even be on the same fucking planet? The answer better not be because I needed to put out a video. Okay, that better not be the answer. So, my answer to this, because as we all know, questions and answers are essential. My answer to this is two words: knowing yourself. It's central to both of these works. In The Wedding People, it removes tension. Phoebe goes to the hotel to kill herself, but she's told by her therapist that she isn't the suicidal type. When she doesn't kill herself at the end of the first day, we know that she won't by the time the novel ends. The strength of the imagery is undercut by the knowledge that fundamentally, by the end of day one, Phoebe has already changed. After this point, it's hundreds of pages of fluff. It's less will she change and more what will happen now that she's changed, which to me is a much less satisfying question in the context of Espach's novel. In True Detective, Cole knows himself, perhaps a little too well. The way he moves through the series, it is assured, it is with intent. It's the movement of a man who is unshaken in his convictions. Then, when Childress nearly kills him, Cole's viewpoint of the world is shaken up. He is deeply changed by the totality of what he cannot understand, but this opens himself up to change and to better himself just as the series ends. Hart, in contrast, does not know himself, not at all. He sort of brushes revelation off throughout the entire series. He hides in sex, he hides in the bottle, and it is only after his confrontation with the worst of the world, the pure desperation of looking into the abyss that begins with viewing Tuttle's videotape, it is only after this point that he begins to have honest conversations with Cole and with himself about who he really is, and this opens him up to change. Hart and Rust both need to change, and their experiences in Carcosa at the end of the series open them up to that change, because having that sort of near-death, totally annihilating experience can't not change you. It allows for new pathways to be discovered by the both of them, and maybe, against all odds, opens up the pathway to a friendship. Ultimate question time. Do The Wedding People and True Detective make sense together in the context of this video? I mean, probably not, but neither does Phoebe and any one of the connections that she makes in The Wedding People, and neither do Hart and Cole as a pairing. I mean, does any of this even make sense? I don't know. You want to go out for dinner sometime?